And in terms of the structures and organizational structures of uMkhonto weSizwe Party, we are led by the president, who is the Commander General, and the president of the organization. And then there will be a structure called Royal House, which is comprised of the kings and queens, the recognized kings and queens, which will be an advisory structure which will interface with the organization through the president and Commander General. And then underneath that, we're going to have a council of traditional and religious leaders. A council of traditional, indigenous, and religious leaders who are going to give constant counsel to the organization in terms of what are the key issues. Whenever manifestos and policy positions are adopted, the leadership collective will be obliged to go and give a report to people who lead the recognized constituencies, which are religious leaders and traditional leaders from all corners of South Africa, representing all cultural denominations and expressions in South Africa. And underneath that, we're going to have the national officials, which is the top 8 of President, Deputy President, Secretary General, Deputy Secretary General, National Chairperson, Deputy National Chairperson, Treasurer General, and National Organizer. And then we're going to have the National High Command, which is the highest decision-making body. So it's an equivalent of a National Executive Committee or a Central Command team in other organizations. It's the highest decision-making body, the National High Command, which takes decisions. That is the structure that took the final decision on the Constitution. And out of that, we're then going to have provincial detachments. Provincial detachments will be the ones that are responsible for coordination and work of the organization at provincial level, appointed by the national structures. Underneath that, we're going to have regional detachments. Regional detachments are demarcated as the districts, the 54 districts or metropolitan districts, which are 8 in South Africa currently. So it's 54 regional detachments which are going to be leading the structures. We must highlight that the composition of the provincial detachments will be provincial convener, provincial deputy convener, coordinator, deputy coordinator, organizer, deputy organizer, fundraiser, and deputy fundraiser. That will be the same in terms of regions. Underneath regions will be sub-regional detachments, which are going to be demarcated as the local municipalities in terms of the district municipalities. In terms of metropolitan municipalities, it will be established zones in that particular metropolitan municipalities. And underneath that will be ward detachments. Underneath ward detachments will be voting districts detachments. The voting district detachments are going to need VD-based branches of uMkhonto weSizwe Party. So the branches of uMkhonto weSizwe are going to be VD-based. We are fully aware that in South Africa we've got 23,291 voting districts, and we are going to launch 23,291 branches of uMkhonto weSizwe, which are going to be constituted at VD level for efficiency and impact of work, because ward-based branches, of course, are functional in certain circumstances, but they are not easy to convene in most of the rural areas and communities. So the branches of uMkhonto weSizwe are going to be VD-based. And for purposes of local government elections, all the VDs will gather to then select who will be the candidate and what is the common program for the total victory in terms of elections. In the immediate program, an activity that is going to be happening is that the leadership is going to be appointing the leadership of provinces, of regions, and no one at provincial level has got the power to establish any regional structure. That is the responsibility of the national leadership. And once that leadership has been appointed, there is no one who is going to identify themselves as leaders of uMkhonto weSizwe in the province, except those that have been appointed in a letter that would have been signed by the Secretary General. So that is the principle that is going to obtain. The fraternal organizations that exist within uMkhonto weSizwe Party One is uMkhonto weSizwe Women's League. It is established by the Constitution, which is comprised of all women in uMkhonto weSizwe above the age of 16 and who are registered to vote, are going to organize and lead at the national level by the National Women's Detachment. And then we have provincial structures, regional structures, ward structures, village structures. We're also going to establish the uMkhonto weSizwe Youth League, which will be joined and led by young people between the ages of 13 years old and 30. So between the ages of 13 and 30 years, that is uMkhonto weSizwe Youth League. And it organizes at all levels, except in institutions of higher learning. So uMkhonto weSizwe Youth League will organize young people in communities, except in institutions. The uMkhonto weSizwe Youth League will not launch campus-based branches. We're then going to have uMkhonto weSizwe Students Movement as a separate, relatively autonomous organization, which is going to launch branches of uMkhonto weSizwe Students Movement in all TVET colleges, universities of technology, and universities, and will be relatively autonomous to deal with matters that relate to students on a constant basis. And the highlight is that the leadership of uMkhonto weSizwe Students Movement must not be above the age of 18. So those who think that they are going to join at the age of 40, wanting to leave uMkhonto weSizwe Student Movement, they won't be able to smuggle themselves. It's mostly going to be the young students who are going to be leading themselves in terms of what will be expected. So the Constitution was adopted by the National High Command, and through observation of just the practice of the organization and the evolving time and adaptability of the circumstances and conditions, when there are changes that are going to be made, the National High Command will again meet to say that we need to add the following sections to then deal with those aspects. And the President is the leader of the organization, and he has the powers to determine and convene consultative and policy conferences in instances where he thinks there's something important that will need organic direction from the leadership. He also has the power to decree practices and decisions that go contrary to the main objectives of the organization. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of South Africa, the Constitution of uMkhonto weSizwe Party. Thank you very much.